It seems that he really hates Charlie. As long as it makes Charlie uncomfortable, he is very interested. Even the old Mrs. Wilson did not expect that Ragnar would actually agree to buy a villa for her. Isn't this the legend that the snipe and the clam compete for the fisherman's profit? In this way, Thompson's villa is cheaper. So she was extremely excited and said to Ragnar, "Mr. Ragnar, let's not tell you, Charlie's family lives in No. A05 of Thompson. I have been there and know the layout there. A05 is around A04 and A06. If we can live in A04 or A06, then Charlie will be uncomfortable." Mrs. Wilson is a very shrewd person, and she has been good at calculations all her life. In fact, there is also a Series B at the back of the A-Series villa, but the A-Series is the largest unit of Thompson, so she proposed A04 or A06 to Ragnar. In this way, she will live in a luxurious villa of the same specifications as Charlie's family. Isn't it beautiful? Thompson's A-Series of villas are worth more than $1 billion and are the most expensive villas in the entire Aarhus Hill city. For ordinary families, it is impossible to achieve it in a lifetime. For ordinary wealthy families, working hard in this life may still be a little bit possible. For the rich family, it takes 10 years of hard work to have the opportunity to live in such a villa. But for the Wu family, this kind of villa is just a drop in the bucket. Even if the Wu family is facing major difficulties now, they have a value of hundreds of billions, and they don't care about a villa of more than $1 billion. Moreover, Ragnar knew very well that this villa was bought by the Wu family for the Wilson family. That is to say, it was not given to the Wilson family. In this way, it would be equivalent to the Wu family buying a real estate, maybe 2 years later. The Wu family can make money even if this villa appreciates, so why not do it? So Ragnar nodded and said, "Since we are going to work together on major issues, I can still meet this small requirement. Let's do it. I will arrange my hands to inquire about 04 or 06 households. It does not matter if it is sold or not. I can buy it from the other party at a high price. After buying it, you can live in." The 5 members of the Wilson family were suddenly excited. Especially Noah. The look in the eyes of the Lady Wilson was already worshipping. She used to think that she was too old and might not be useful, but she didn't expect that she was still hot when complied with the old saying. As she heard that the Wu family wanted to invest in the Wilson family and help the family to regain its strengths, and she would have bowed in excitement and thanked. But she was different. The Lady Wilson calmly analyzed Ragnar's psychology, and as soon as she spoke, she won a villa for the Wilson family. Although they can live in, not sure how long can they live there, but isn't it just for nothing? However, Mrs. Wilson knew very well in her heart that since she was on the big ship of the Wu family, she must find a way to do more for herself. The villa cannot be given to her temporarily, but at least a certain commitment must be made on the length of residence. So she looked at Ragnar and said with a smile, "Mr. Ragnar, you are really too generous, but as the Lady Wilson, I have something to ask of you." Ragnar nodded and said lightly, "Just tell me, what's the matter?" Mrs. Wilson said, "Mr. Ragnar, you see that I am a lot of years old. I guess I won't live for a few years. This old body can't stand the toss. If you let me live in Thompson Villa today, it will be a big wave. You kill Charlie's bastard, wouldn't I have to move out tomorrow? After all, it is easy for a big man like you to kill Charlie's bastard." A flattery made Ragnar feel happy. He looked at the Lady Wilson and asked, "Do you want me to give you a promise for how long you will stay in this villa?" Mrs. Wilson immediately gave a thumbs up, flattering, and said, "Sure enough, nothing can escape your glaring eyes, Mr. Orville. I am not a person who covets prosperity and wealth, but my body cannot withstand the toss and wants to live a little. So can you sign an agreement with us that the Thompson Villa will stay with us for at least 10 years? After 10 years, whether the Lady Wilson is still alive or not, the Wilson family will move out as agreed." According to Mrs. Wilson, 10 years is already a long time. After all, the property right of a house is only 70 years, and 10 years is equivalent to 1/7 of the consumption. A villa is worth more than $1 billion at least, and 1/7 is almost $20 million. And she is already 80 this year, and may not live for another 10 years. Ragnar didn't care much about a villa, so it is certainly impossible to give it to the Wilson family. After all, he is not such a fool, but letting them live for 10 years is actually not a big problem for him. So Ragnar said indifferently, 10 years is 10 years, but you must concentrate on doing things for me. Get Charlie as soon as possible, and I will reward you again. The old Mrs. Wilson hurriedly pulled the family and bowed to Ragnar. Her excitement was beyond words. The other members of the Wilson family were also very excited, and as a result, the family had completely turned over. Not only was the Wilson group saved, but they were also able to live in Thompson's villa, which is equivalent to better than the best time before. Moreover, Ragnar also promised to support the Wilson group. Maybe the Wilson group can make breakthrough progress with his help. Ragnar said at this time, I will arrange for someone to go to Thompson to check the house situation, and buy Thompson A04 or A06 as soon as possible. Today, you will stay in the guest room for the time being. When I prepare everything, I will send you back to Orus Hill, and then my investment to the Wilson Group will also be directly credited to your company's account. The Wilson family was so excited that they quickly thanked and agreed.